Morning people, happy Saturday. Hope you're all having a busy morning polishing your jack boots. Why do I say that? Well, because apparently if you follow my videos and agree with my view on the ECHR, European Convention on Human Rights, you're not just far right, but you're an actual Nazi. Did you know that? Were you aware that you're a Nazi? So Lord Hermer, Richard Hermer, the Attorney General, the most senior legal figure in this country, came out and basically accused anyone discussing getting rid of the ECHR, pulling out of the ECHR. He compared them to senior figures in 1930s German Nazi party. He essentially, in all but name, accused them of being like Nazis just for wanting to get out of the ECHR. Now, he was forced to apologise, he was forced to withdraw that statement, but it's too late, the damage has been done. It shows exactly how he thinks. It shows that he and senior figures within the Labour Party, presumably Keir Starmer as well, genuinely think that anyone who wants to get out of the ECHR is a Nazi or is extreme far right. This man is best pals with Keir Starmer. They did law together, they came up through the same routes, they know each other intimately, well not intimately but very well, and so clearly if that's what Hermer thinks, you can bet your bottom dollar that's pretty much what Starmer thinks as well. So essentially they believe that if you want to get out of the European Court of Human Rights, the European Convention on Human Rights, you're a Nazi, or you're akin to a Nazi. Let me just explain a few reasons why that's utter cobblers. So, the UK is the country of Magna Carta, of habeas corpus, of trial by jury, the rule of law, parliamentary democracy. We pretty much started the vast majority of those things. We gave the world many of the underpinnings of human rights and human rights legislation. So to argue that if we suddenly do away with the ECHR, which is a convention that's been around for what, 60, 70 years, that we would suddenly descend into anarchy, chaos, despotism and dictatorship is absolute rubbish. We haven't had those things for nearly 1,000 years. Magna Carta was what, 12, 15? It's cobblers to argue that or to make that argument. But not only that, the European Convention on Human Rights is exactly that. It's European. It doesn't cover the entire world. There's hundreds of countries in the world, the vast majority of which don't belong to the ECHR. Are we really arguing that none of them have human rights? The USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, none of those are in the ECHR. Are we really arguing that none of those have any human rights? Of course we're not. The entire argument is an absolute fallacy. It's a joke. It's ridiculous. If we pull out of it, or if we cancel it, or if we just ditch it completely overnight, nothing really changes. All of the same human rights that we already have, that are already enshrined in law in Britain, would still be here. The only thing that changes is that we, our judges, our parliament, our politicians, and ultimately our voters, are the people that have ultimate control of it, rather than EU bureaucrats, European judges, European politicians. That's the only thing that would change. And the vast majority of people that are arguing to ditch the ECHR actually want to replace it with the British Bill of Rights anyway, pretty quickly. And in that British Bill of Rights, it would state and it would outline exactly the same human rights, exactly the same laws, exactly the same protocols that we already have in place anyway. The only thing that changes is who makes the decisions, and the decisions will be made by us rather than by European judges. So this whole argument that even discussing getting out of the ECHR is somehow a far-right plot, or that anyone who thinks that way is a Nazi, is outrageous, and it's a load of crap. It's total cobblers. It's not even vaguely close to being true. Yet apparently that's what senior figures within the Labour Party and on the left are trying to portray. Why are they doing that? Well, they're doing it because if we get out of the ECHR, suddenly we have control. We have control of areas like migration, which they don't want to happen. So you have to ask yourself the question, how can the most senior legal figure in this country, Lord Hermer, not be aware that Magna Carta, which has been around for 800 years, which basically took ultimate power away from kings and the throne and put it in the hands of the people and the lords, or was at least the start of that. Habeas corpus, which is a Latin term which means basically show me the body or produce the body, which essentially enshrined the fact that courts had to produce evidence and actual evidence had to be shown and produced and available in trials, trial by jury, which most other countries didn't have. All of these things came from this country. He must know that. So he's deliberately contorting the facts, deliberately lying. And to say that, as I say, if we suddenly did away with the ECHR or pulled out of it, that this country would descend into some sort of despotic, anarchic country where everyone's human rights were destroyed and ruined and nobody got a fair trial and nobody could live freely, is utter cobblers. So let me know what your thoughts are. Have you seen what Lord Hermes said? Do you agree with staying in the ECHR or getting out of the ECHR? Do you agree with replacing it with a British Bill of Rights? And more importantly, did you know you're a Nazi? And just how shiny are your jackboots?